What is up? What is going on, people? Welcome back to the channel, and in today's video we have something very new. I'm going to be taking my stab and my shot at predicting the 2025-2026 Premier League table from a Canadian's perspective or North American's perspective or whatever else you want to say. I don't know how I'm going to do it. This is just my opinion based off of my ball knowledge, or I don't even know, man. Just like, don't kill me too much in the comments, bro, or do. I don't even care. But be sure to drop a like and a subscribe. We're on the road to 900. We're almost at 1K, guys. The goal was originally to hit 1K before the start of the season, but the season starts next weekend, so I don't know if that's gonna happen. But hey, you guys have been killing it, so I can't thank you guys enough. And be sure to drop a like and a subscribe, and let's get right into the video, man. Let's freaking go. Okay, so actually, before I start, stay tuned towards the end of the video for a special announcement. And I just want to make something very clear. So for this prediction, I'm going to be assuming that the players that are like on the fence of joining their clubs are going to be potentially joining them. And the main ones that I'm talking about are primarily Isak linked to Liverpool. That's probably going to happen. I think it's going to happen. I think it's just only a matter of time and logistics and stuff like that. So I think that will probably happen. So I'm going to be assuming that even if Isak doesn't join Liverpool, I'm going to be assuming that Isak will be leaving Newcastle regardless, as well as it's looking very likely that Jack Grealish will be going to Everton. So, but I won't really like factor that too much into my prediction, but you know, just going to add some more knowledge to the overall prediction. So yeah, keep those things in mind and stay tuned towards the end of the video for a special announcement. Okay, so coming in at number 20, we have Leeds. So with Leeds, it's a little bit tricky because with a lot of these promoted sides from the championship, a lot of them are going to really struggle to maintain in the Premier League. So when it came to Leeds, I just felt like they haven't really done too much or added enough quality for me to put them any higher than the bottom. At least I don't think they're going to be getting or remaining in the Premier League. So yeah, for me, I have Leeds at 20. They didn't exactly get like rated per se in terms of like their top talent, but the thing is with that is that Leeds doesn't really have too many like top talent. So I think their squad isn't that strong. And with that being said, for me anyways, on this list and this prediction, I have them at 20, man. Like, I don't know, I don't really watch Leeds either, so I'm actually talking out of my ass, so I don't know. Coming in at number 19, we're going with Sunderland. So when it comes to Sunderland, same thing. I don't watch Sunderland, but what I do know is that a player like Joe Bellingham was important to them last season. He was sold for a fee of 30.5 million euros. So he's a very important player for them, and Sunderland has lost him. So with that being said, I think Sunderland has actually bought a lot of decent quality players from all around Europe, and I think they've done their best to be able to ensure that they're going to stay up. And I actually like Sunderland a lot. Like, they're a quality club, but let's be real, man. For a lot of these promoted sides, it's tricky for them to stay up. I think I like their addition of Granit Xhaka, but let's be real, Xhaka isn't the same player that he used to be. So I think Sunderland can do better than Leeds based off of how much they've brought in. But do I think that they'll be better than the other 18 clubs in the Premier League? Probably not. So for me, I put Sunderland at a solid 19. So with number 18, we're going with Burnley. So listen, I think out of these three promoted sides, I think that Burnley plays probably the best football and the most structured out of these three sides that have come up into the Premier League. But with that being said, it's one of those tricky ones where, like, same thing. Like, does Burnley really have enough quality to remain in the Premier League? I'm going to say no. But I will say that out of all these three promoted sides, I think that out of all of them, I think that Burnley has the highest potential to actually remain in the Premier League. They're a defensively solid team, and I actually like their transfer strategy of buying players from top 6 sides. For example, they bought hella players from Chelsea. They brought Ugochukwu. I know I butchered that name, so don't even, I butchered that, bro. Ugochukwu. They brought Broja, and they also bought Humphreys from Chelsea as well. So it's actually a pretty good strategy of buying, you know, top 6 players that are on the outskirts of those top 6 teams from those clubs and bring them into your squad. That's a good way to, at least that's one way to try to stay up. I don't know. So I actually like that from Burnley. They also brought in Kyle Walker, which I think is an excellent addition for Burnley too. But Kyle Walker isn't the same player that he used to be. So, I mean, let's see how Burnley does this season. But I think out of any club, out of these promoted sides, I think that Burnley has the best chance of staying up. So, Burnley at number 18. At number 17, we're going with Brentford. So, when it comes to Brentford, I think Brentford is a team that succession plans really well. They're always thinking about the next step. They're always thinking about the next thing to do. So when it comes to Brentford, I trust them to be able to adapt and figure out how they can best remain in the Premier League. So with that being said, I think that Brentford had planned for a world where they would potentially lose Thomas Frank, or they would lose Brian Mbeumo, or they would lose Wissa. Like, I think Brentford would have planned for this. So I think I trust them to be able to cope with that and remain in the Premier League. However, with that being said, they also lost Norgard as well, which is huge to lose Norgard. But with that being said, when it comes to Brentford, the reality is they lost a lot of good quality players and their head coach to my team. So they're going to struggle. It's going to be very tricky for them, but I think they'll have just enough to be able to stay up in the Premier League. But if there's any side that I could see going down, it'd probably be Brentford, bro. It probably would. So let's see how they do. But for me right now, I have them at 17. Coming in at number 16, I've gone with Wolves. So with Wolves, it's one of those things where it's just they lost a lot of quality. They lost Cunha and they lost Ait Nori, some of their two best players. So to lose Cunha is absolutely huge, and we're going to have to see how they cope with that. They still have Gomez there, so they didn't lose everyone. And they still have Huang Yi-Chan as well. But with Wolves, it's one of those things like where they don't really have too much star quality, but they're a very well coached team. They're very well coached, so I think they'll stay up. I think they'll have enough to stay up. And they also brought in Strand Larson, which I think is a good addition for them. And they also brought in Lopez as well. So let's see how Wolves do. But for this prediction right now, I have them coming in at 16th. At number 15, we've gone with West Ham. And this is one that I've thought about a lot for a multitude of reasons. But number one being is that West Ham just lost arguably one of their best players in Mohamed Kudus. And with that being said, they haven't really found a way to replace Mohamed Kudus. And they still have Bowen there, they still have Paqueta, but even Paqueta is a player that might be moving this summer too. So that's a lot of quality being taken out of this West Ham side. And on top of that, West Ham, I think you could probably say massively underperformed last season too. So the real question is how does West Ham do this season? How much better will they be coached, and how would they deal with the loss of technical ability of potentially Paqueta and, of course, Mohamed Kudus? They brought in Kyle Walker-Peters, which, let's be real, he's not really that good, man. Like, at best, he's good enough for a mid-table club, which is right about where West Ham is. So, hey, maybe it's good for West Ham. I don't know. But all jokes aside, they brought in Todibo, which I actually like. I think Todibo is an excellent quality signing. But I don't think that's enough for them to really, for me to even justify putting them much higher than 15th. In fact, I could honestly see them at 16th or even 17th. West Ham have a lot of work to do. They're pretty much in free fall. And I think if I was a West Ham fan, I'd be worried for this upcoming season. Coming in at number 14th, I have gone with Bournemouth. So this is another classic example of a team just getting absolutely raided, man. Bournemouth, I feel bad, but you lost pretty much your entire back line, Hyson, Kirkez, and I think you just lost another one of your players as well to PSG. So it's one of those ones like where they just lost their entire team pretty much. They got rated hardcore, but they still have a lot of quality in that team. And when it comes to Bournemouth, like they still have Semenyo there, so they're going to be okay in that sense. They lost a lot of quality, and it's just up to Iraola to see how he's going to be able to get the best out of this team now. Bournemouth already played very high attacking football, so it's going to be tricky to see how they'll be able to cope with the losses of their solid defensive line. But I like Iraola a lot. I think he's a decent coach, and I think he's going to do his best of his ability to be able to keep Bournemouth number one in the Premier League. I don't think they're going to go down, but I don't think they're going to be really going much higher up either. So I have them at 14th. At number 13th, we're coming in with Fulham. So I'm just going to keep it 110% honest, bro. I don't watch Fulham. I don't know shit about Fulham, actually, to be honest. They lost Vinicius, and I think they've brought in like one player. Like I genuinely don't know anything about Fulham. For me, they've always been like that mid-table club in the Premier League. So they have like a decent team. Like they're also really well coached. I think Marco Silva is a really good coach, and he's always like fine-tuning and adapting and changing. So I think whatever is thrown at Fulham, I think they'll be able to change and adapt. But I don't know shit about Fulham, so I'm putting them at 13th. That's my analysis, bro. That's it. Okay, so at number 12, we have Crystal Palace. So when it comes to Crystal Palace, of course, they've just won a trophy in the FA Cup last season. So a huge achievement for them. And as of right now, they just won the Community Shield as well. So congratulations to Crystal Palace. With that being said, though, like they didn't really lose too many high quality players. They also have brought in not a whole lot either. So it's the same thing where it's like they didn't lose too much, but they didn't bring in too much. So they might just remain the same. And the clubs around them didn't bring in too much. And they also didn't lose too much. Some of them actually lost more than Crystal Palace. So they might just be around the same thing as they were last season. If not, maybe even a little bit better. But the thing with Crystal Palace is that they have to keep Eberechi Eze. If Eze leaves Crystal Palace, this team is going to be going down a couple more positions for sure. But if they keep Eze, they'll be in and around the same position. And of course, they didn't end up getting the Europa League due to Nottingham Forest or Marinakis being pretty much a dickhead. But yeah, so let's see how Crystal Palace does this season. But yeah, I have them at 12th. So at number 11, I've gone with Brighton. So Brighton's one of those teams like where you can always pencil them to be in and around like 12 to 10 to 9, almost 8th. And with Brighton, it's one of those things where it's just like, okay, like they always find a way to bring in young talent that just pop up out of nowhere and are just end up being high quality, and they just sell them for a large price. They of course lost João Pedro, so that's going to be a big loss for them. But like I said, I'm not really worried about Brighton because they always find a way to bring in someone solid. They also lost Estepinian, but they still have Baleba there, but they also might lose him. So if Brighton lose Baleba, that definitely throws a wrench in their plans. It's going to be really tough for Brighton this season if they lose Baleba. But with that being said, they still have a lot of quality players, man. They genuinely do. They still have Mitoma there, so like Brighton's a solid team. I think I'm going to pencil them at 11th. At number 10, we're going with Everton. And this might be a hot take. I'm not sure how other people are predicting Everton this season, but for me, I like what Everton has done a lot. I genuinely do. I think they've had a really good summer, or an underrated summer at least. And I think the fact that they're looking at Jack Grealish to come into this Everton side, that's going to take them up another level. Jack Grealish is still a quality player, and he's a player that if he gets into an Everton side, I think will take them up another level. And he'll have the ability to be the main man for Everton. So I like what Everton has done a lot this season. They haven't really lost too many big name players, and they've brought in some decent quality too. They've brought in Dewsbury Hall as well, which I think goes back to what I was saying about before, is that how these clubs sometimes are targeting players from big six sides to make sure that they stay up in the Premier League. So I like this from Everton a lot. And they're also obviously moving into the new stadium. So that's going to be another factor too. Like, how will teams play in that new stadium? Let's see for Everton, man. But I like what they've been doing this summer a lot, and I have them at number 10. So at number 9, we're going with Nottingham Forest. So when it comes to Forest, they of course lost Alanga, which is going to hurt them a lot because Alanga was crucial to that counter-attacking to be able to challenge on the break. And on top of that, Nottingham Forest are also going to be playing in the Europa League. If they're going to be in the Conference League, then it'd be a little bit different because they'd be able to rotate more and not have to play their high-quality players. But in the Europa League, Nottingham Forest fans will learn very quickly that the Europa League isn't something to be snuffed at. You're still going to have to play like some decent quality players. You can rotate, but you're going to have some good quality in there. So how will Forest be able to deal with the 2 games a week? Let's see how they do. And of course, they were this close to losing Morgan Gibbs-White to Spurs. But Marinakis decided to realize that, hey, if Forest lose Gibbs-White, then y'all are absolutely cooked. So Gibbs-White remains at Forest, and that's huge for Forest because if they lost Gibbs-White, they could have genuinely been in really, really big trouble. But I think due to the fact that they're going to be having 2 games a week, they're going to struggle a little bit here. So with that being said, I have Forest coming in at number 9. At number 8, we have Newcastle. So this is one of those things where I was saying was like, I'm assuming Isak will probably be leaving. I think Isak was training with another club or something, and he's not allowed to train with the first team right now. And he's pretty much been twerking for Liverpool. So let's be real, Isak probably most likely won't be returning to Newcastle. So I'm kind of factoring that into my prediction right now. And they of course brought in Elanga, which is a good addition for them. But to lose Isak, man, that's going to hurt. That's going to hurt them a lot. And I still think they haven't really replaced him in terms of the striker that they really want. And let's be real, you're not going to ever really be able to replace Isak because he's one of the best strikers in the world. So good luck replacing that. So irrespective of that, they're going to have a really tough time climbing up the table. I think they're going to drop down a little bit, but they still have a lot of good players in that Newcastle side. And it's one of those clubs that are being hindered and hurt by PSR and financial fair play. So let's see how Newcastle do. I think if they kept Isak, I would have them even higher than Spurs. But the fact that they're probably going to be losing Isak, it's not looking good. So I have Newcastle coming in at 8. On top of that, they're going to be in Champions League 2. So they're losing Isak and Champions League football. Good luck, Newcastle. I have them at 8th. Okay, so coming in at number 7, I've gone with Tottenham. As a Spurs fan, this one absolutely kills me, man, because with Spurs, the whole thing was supposed to be, we won the Europa League, so now it's time to push on. We're going to win bigger and better things. We're going to challenge on all fronts and push on as a club. We have Champions League now, which means more money, more pull. But as we've seen for Spurs, we've made little to no signings. We've brought in Kudus, which I think is an excellent signing. He's going to bang for us. And we've brought in João Palhinha on loan. Besides that, there's really been nothing else. You can throw Tell in there if you want to include it, but Tell is not a Champions League level player right now. So how do Spurs cope this season? I genuinely don't know. I think the big thing for Spurs in getting them back up from 17th to 7th is the fact that we have Thomas Frank now. He's a lot more pragmatic, a lot more tactically flexible, and he's going to get the team to play a lot better defensively. So I think with that alone, with our defense and Thomas Frank's tactics, I think defensively we'll be able to get more points, get a lot more draws, and be a lot more secure. But I've been saying this all preseason for Spurs, is the fact that where is the offense going to come from? I genuinely don't know. When you take a player like Heung-min Son out, which had over 20 goals and assists, when you take a player like Madison out of the team, which also had over 20 goals and assists, Kulusevski also out as well, that's like over 60 goals and assists taken out of this team. So how are Spurs going to be able to cope with that? Solanke is also injured for now, but even him coming back, he's not going to bag you 20 goals. Solanke's just not going to do that. So how is the Spurs team going to find the offense? How? That's my big thing holding them back from putting them in the top 6 is where are they going to find the offense from? Spurs are going to be good defensively, a lot more structure. They might even beat some better teams than them once in a while. But overall, where is the offense coming from? And on top of that, Spurs have Champions League football. How the hell is the squad going to cope with Champions League football with the amount of players that we have and the quality that we have? It's just not going to work. It's not. So I have Spurs at number 7. Coming in at number 6, I've gone with Aston Villa. So when it comes to Villa, genuinely speaking, they haven't really lost anyone substantial, and they haven't really brought in anyone substantial in either. So they pretty much have the same squad, and they're going to be in Europa League. So with Villa, I mean, hey, I just have them like at 6. Like, I think they have a really good quality squad. They have a good starting 11. I think they'll be just fine this season. I think having them at 6th isn't really too much of a hot take. I think that's like about where they're at. And they also brought in Gassan too. So they got their decent quality signing, and they haven't really lost anyone substantial either. So yeah, Villa at number 6. Coming in at number 5, this could be a hot take, I don't know, but I have Manchester United at number 5. Of course, United isn't a 15th place squad, let's be real. Even though we want them to be, they're not. When it comes to United, they don't have any Europe this season, so that's a huge factor into why I have them so high. And on top of that, their attack looks a lot better. A lot better. Between Cunha and Buemo and now Sesko, that's a good attack. And they're only playing one game a week. United has potential to do a lot of damage this season, so I have them at 5. I think what's holding them back is they need more in that midfield. United needs a lot better midfielders, and that's why they're looking at Baleba, because they need someone who's going to be able to just to shut shit down that midfield and have more legs in that midfield too. So with that being said, I have Manchester United at number 5. So before I get into the top 4, I just want to start out by saying that I think there's a big gap in between top 4 and the rest of the Premier League. I could genuinely see a world where this top 4 and any of those top 4 winning the league. Like genuinely, I could see any of them winning the league. I think that the gap between top 4 and the rest of the league is substantial, and it's just pretty much like how they interchange and like how they stay fit, and if little things go their way and if they got some luck. So yeah, keep in mind that I'm making my prediction. I could see any of these teams winning the league. I genuinely could. So let's get into the top 4. So coming in at number 4, I have Chelsea. And this one hurts me a lot because even though I'm a Spurs fan, I can still talk objectively. I like Chelsea's squad a lot. I think João Pedro was an excellent signing for Chelsea. And I think that he's going to be a very underrated signing as a whole. And I think what he's going to be able to do at Chelsea is going to be huge. And then Jamie Gittins, man. I'm so jealous that Chelsea managed to get this kid. This kid is quality. He's an amazing player. And I think he's going to have a huge season for Chelsea too. On top of that, Delap as well. Good backup striker for Chelsea. And they have Estevao too, which this kid has come out of nowhere and absolutely announced himself for Chelsea. So I love Chelsea's squad a lot. And then on top of that, they still have Cole Palmer, and they have arguably one of the best midfields in the Premier League between Caicedo, Fernandes. It's looking really good for Chelsea, man, if I'm being honest. It's just about Chelsea staying fit. If Reece James can stay fit, if they get proper goalkeeping, then I think Chelsea could honestly have a proper shout of challenging for the league title. I don't see why they couldn't. I don't. This is a good side, a really good side. They're going to do a lot of damage, and they're going to surprise a lot of people. Honestly, I want to put them higher, but I just think that the other teams have a little bit more, in my opinion. And I haven't seen enough from the Chelsea side yet to really put myself to say that they're going to win the league. But with that being said, I have Chelsea at 4. So coming in at number 3, I have Arsenal. And honestly, I really wanted to put them at 2nd again, but I think they actually take a step back. When I'm looking at Arsenal, I think they still left themselves a little bit short. They finally got their striker, which is good for them. It just depends if Gyökeres can bang in the goals. He did it in Portugal, but can he do it in the Premier League? When it comes to Arsenal, Gyökeres has to be the man. He has to bang in the goals. He needs bare minimum 20 goals for Gyökeres. If he does not get 20 goals, Arsenal's not winning the league. It's just not going to happen. So, Gyökeres has to be the man for Arsenal. He has to bang in the goals. That's one of the reasons why I'm a little bit iffy on making them actually win the league. And then number 2, a guy like Odegaard needs to step up. If you have Odegaard ghosting again, like he did last season, then Arsenal are going to have big problems. Because who is going to be the one to get service to Gyökeres? And we've actually already seen it in Arsenal's preseason, where Gyökeres hasn't been able to get the service that he's needed. So let's see how Odegaard does this season. And then another factor that I have to look at for Arsenal is how Arteta coaches this team and sets them up tactically. When I look back to Arsenal in 2022, 2023, I was genuinely terrified of this team. The way that they were able to play beautiful attacking football was insane, and they'd be able to play through anyone. They'd be able to break anyone down. But now, whatever Arteta has done, the attack has gone stale, and it's boring. Very, very boring. So, is Arteta going to run the same thing back, be pragmatic, be defensively solid, not take risks, or is he going to be more free-flowing, more attacking? Let's see what Arteta does. Let's genuinely see what he does. If he can get Arsenal back to that 2022, 2023 form, then I think Arsenal has a very good shot at winning the league. But if he stays pragmatic, if he stays to his boring football, then Arsenal are not going to win the league. And the last thing that I want to touch on with Arsenal is the fact that they need to sign a left winger, bro. I cannot stress this enough. You have Saka being that one-side attack. The problem with that is that teams are not going to worry about the left side. They're only going to worry about that right side. So Saka needs that help. You need to get a quality left winger in. That's why I'm looking at Arsenal. I'm looking at Eze. I'm looking at Rodrigo. They need some good quality in there. Even Leao, for God's sake. Like, get in Rafael Leao for Arsenal, bro. Like, you need a top level left winger on the same level, or if not close to, as Saka. Because Trossard ain't going to do it for you. Martinelli ain't going to do it for you. And I know damn well Madueke is not going to do it for you, Arsenal. So if they can get in that proper left winger, then they're probably going to be one of the favorites for the title. But right now, I don't think they have enough. I just don't. But let's see. I spent way too much time on the shitty team, though. Let's just move on. So yeah, Arsenal at 3. Coming in at number 2, I've gone with Manchester City. Of course, Pep Guardiola is one of the best coaches that we've ever seen in the world of football, and I think that last season was a major underperformance. Man City desperately needed to refresh the squad, and I think they've done really, really good business this season. They got their business done early, and they brought in quality signings that instantly improved that team by a long mile. I think Reinders is going to be an excellent signing for them, and he's already banged really well in preseason that we've seen so far. He's going to be quality for them, man. And I think Reinders is going to be probably one of the most underrated signings this summer. This guy's quality, man. He's freaking quality. And of course, they brought in Nuri as well, which he hasn't done as well compared to Reinders, but still a good player. And then of course, Ryan Cherky. I'm so freaking jealous of the signing because I wanted Spurs to sign this guy for so long, but he goes to Man City. And I think what this allows is Man City to be a lot more creative and free-flowing, because what happened a lot of the times for Man City last season is that they were so, they lacked creativity and fluidity. So they would just pass the ball in like a U shape around the box. They wouldn't really be able to break down these little blocks. So these little blocks would sit back and absorb pressure, and then they would hit Man City on the counter attack. That's all they had to really do to beat Man City. So now they have Ryan Cherky and a lot more technical players. I think that'll be a lot more threatening, and it will allow a player like Phil Foden to get back to his best too, being a lot more technical, showing off his skill. And to play him alongside Ryan Cherky is something that's going to be very scary for opposing teams. So with that being said, I have Man City at number 2, and I could really see a world where if they get things clicking how they should be, they could also win the league. So Manchester City at number 2. And then of course at number 1, I've gone with Liverpool. Listen, man, when you look at Liverpool, this team's just way too good. It's just way too good. There's just not really a world where you can sign so much quality, especially after winning the league, and expect yourself not to be favorites. Between Wirtz, Ekitike, Carriquez, Frimpong, that alone is just insane, man. And especially after they just won the league too, and they've retained a lot of their good players that were instrumental to that. The thing with Liverpool now is that we got to figure out how the defense is going to go, because they're kind of light back there. Van Dijk is getting older and older, and if he drops, what the hell happens to Liverpool? So they've got to address that. They definitely have to look at that. And then when it comes to Liverpool, and I hate using this dumb excuse because it almost gives less responsibility to the favorite team, but the reality is that will these players be able to gel right away? will these players be able to click right away? Or will it just be a team of individuals? I almost call it Real Madrid syndrome, where you have so much star players and you bring them all in at once, and you just have like a team of individuals rather than like a whole team as a unit, as a collective team. So is Arne Slot going to be able to get this team to perform as a team, or will it just be a bunch of individual star players playing for the same team? That's the big question for Liverpool. But I'm not saying that to really mitigate them of any sort of responsibility that they have to win the league. You have to. They've spent so much money that they have got to win the league, bro. They're just the favorites. They really are. Especially, bro, listen, Liverpool, if you bring in Isak, I want bare minimum 100 points, bro. There's no way you bring an Isak into this team you don't get to at least bare minimum like 95 points, man. Like, you have to win the league if you're bringing Isak. You have to. So with that being said, that wraps up the list, and I have Liverpool coming first and winning the league. But like I said, this top four is scary, man. They're all really good. So this has potential to be one of the most entertaining Premier League seasons that we've ever seen. Wow. What a ride that we're in for, man. Genuinely. So yeah, that wraps up the list, man. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. This video is probably going to piss a lot of people off, and this is just my opinion. This is my take as a Canadian. I could be far off this. I could be spot on. I don't even know, bro, but this is just my opinion. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Do you guys think this is accurate? Do you think it's far off? Like, what do you guys think is going to happen this season that's going to surprise a lot of people? Like, let me know. And of course, be sure to drop a like and subscribe. And listen, I have a very special announcement. Check this out. This isn't just a Discord server. This is where football comes alive. Live match chats, pro clubs, wagers, memes, debates that go absolutely off the rails. And if you've got an opinion, you better be ready to back it. You want cheap kits? We've got the plug. You want smoke after a loss? Hit the post-match call-in show with me, CDO Spurs. Or I guess some people call me the Canadian Expressions. Yeah! Yes! I don't know, I'm too humble to claim that though. Or am I? You think your club's clear? Prove it. And yeah, I'm a Spurs fan, but everyone's welcome. Even Arsenal fans. Yeah, even them. But just don't bottle it. Welcome to Banter Hub. It's football, it's chaos, but it's home. Join the official Discord server right now. So there you have it. Join the official Banter Hub Discord server. Link is in the description down below. So join up. It's welcome to everyone. It's not a Spurs only thing. It's a football fan Discord server. So join up. Tell your favorite creators to join it, and we're trying to build something huge here, man. So I can't thank you guys enough for all the support, and be sure to drop a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out, man.